So today we're in the memorial room of the Indiana Memorial Union. As you can probably hear by the music in the background, we're right across the hall from Starbucks. So this room was originally a chapel when the university was built, but later in the 1950s when Beck Chapel was built, they no longer needed it as such, and they moved the memorial aspects of the Indiana Memorial Union in here. Now, to back up a little bit though, we have to explain the Golden Book. That's this thing over my shoulder back here. The Golden Book, originally known as the Soldier Roll of Honor or the Roll of Honor of Former Students, was started in the 1890s by the Indiana Daily Student. They tried to compile a list of all the students then serving in the Spanish-American War. Then they decided they were going to make one for all the students serving in the Civil War. That led to an entire list by the start of World War I of all of the alumni and former students of IU who had served in all of the wars prior to that. In World War I, the Registrar's Office took over and the Alumni Association took over the roles of trying to keep track of all of the folks that served. And in the 1930s, when the Indiana Memorial Union was built, the idea of putting it into one book was forwarded by the president of the university, William Lowe Bryan. And so Bryan decided that he was going to make one book with the list. It also includes all the donors to the memorial fund in the back of it. Now you'll notice that the names as they're listed in here, these are the Gold Star names. These are the names of folks who died in service, and there's a little bit of biographical information about them. If they're not a Gold Star name, if they just served and they survived the war, their name's listed, but there's a lot less information about them. Some of the other things that you'll see in the memorial room quickly, just to sort of orient yourself, is you'll notice that there's these stained glass windows in here. The stained glass windows did actually come from a church in Europe and were put in during the time that this was a chapel. You'll notice that there's a big gold medallion on the floor down here. That big gold medallion says that the Indiana Memorial Union is dedicated to the sons and daughters of Indiana University who served in the wars of the Republic. And then lastly, one of the interesting pieces that we installed back in 2011 was a digital version of the Golden Book, because the one back there got a little too hard to get people to flip pages. It's getting in a little bit of rough shape. So we digitized the original book, and there's now a giant iPad that you can use to scroll through and look at the pages if you want. And you can look at the different wars, you can look at the different names. There's not a database in order to search the names that's associated with this device. However, we did in 2016 launch an online version of it, and you can now actually just search by name and look at and look at all the names online in the database function, as well as add new names. After World War II, the book was full, so we had to start over with something else, and we never did. It's a long story, we'll get into it on this. But in 2016, when we launched the database, we made sure that we were able to add new names to it. So we're currently in the process of collecting all the sons and daughters of Indiana University who have served in the U.S. military World War II on. And if you have information that you want to add or enter, you can do that at goldenbook.iu.edu. Submit a record. Thanks.